It is good. And every time I'd walk in, it'd be the same scenario. There'd be my granddad sitting in his favorite chair with the newspaper up, and my grandmother would be walking through the house talking, and I'd egg it on. I go, well, how you doing today, Grandma? She goes, well, I guess I'm all right. They're not shoveling dirt on top of me. I said, really? I said, what'd you do today? She goes, oh, I went to the beauty shop. I saw Betsy. She got a bouffant hairdo. I don't know why she'd get a bouffant hairdo, because she got a fat face. Well, you'd think a woman with a fat face would want that hair hanging out in front of her face. Nobody sees those fat cheeks of hers, but no, she pulls it all on top of her head. So now she got fat cheeks and a fat bun of hair on her head. And my granddad would just go, mm-hmm. Oh, and they got a new car. She wanted a Chevy, but they talked her into a Ford. She wanted a black Chevy, but the dealer man said, oh man, black shows up dirt too much. You need to get you a brown car. So now instead of a pretty black Chevy, she's got an ugly brown Ford with that fat face bouffant hairdo. I think she's lost her mind. And Granddad would just go, mm-hmm. One day I walked over, looked over that paper. He was sound asleep. He could do it in his sleep. And I admired that because he had never raised his voice to her once. And she did crazy stuff. Like she parked their cars sideways in a one-car garage. Even the tow truck driver went, ma'am, I got no idea. She put stuff to cook on the stove on high, like mashed potatoes, and then look at my granddad and go, Ray, let's go for a drive. Well, he don't know she's cooking, so they go for an hour and a half drive, come back, house full of smoke. He goes, what is you cooking? She goes, I guess I'll burn it. I'll tell you a story about them. When they were getting ready to celebrate their 50th wedding anniversary, my granddad said, look, my grandmother told my granddad, she said, look, I want you to go to Macy's and get a suit for our anniversary. My granddad said, I ain't wearing no damn suit. I ain't never worn a suit, ain't gonna wear one now. Because you gotta know who my granddad was. It was boots, overalls, and no shirt. And that was church. Well, Grandma ruled the house. She got him to go get a suit, and they had their anniversary, and everything was fine. Well, unfortunately, about 8 months later, Granddaddy passed away. I was sitting at the funeral home with my grandmother, and the funeral director said, ma'am, what would you like Ray buried in? And she looked at me and said, well, we bought him that suit, I guess so I just bury him in that. And I thought, man, this guy can't catch a break, dead. So we buried Granddad, and after the service, I was having coffee with my grandmother. I said, now, Grandma, listen to me. People are going to start calling the house now, and they're going to ask for Granddaddy, but they don't really want him. They just want to make sure he's gone. They're going to try to sell you some kind of scam to get your stock, your savings. I said, so just tell them Granddaddy's in the garden or he's gone into town. He'll be back later and they can call back. She goes, all right. Well, I went on home. About a year later, I went back to see my parents and I went over to Grandma's house and we were having coffee. And she goes, well, honey, you were right. I said, about what? She goes, those people call all the time. I said, I told you they would. She goes, this one fella, he called once a week for 6 weeks. I said, well, what did he want? She said, well, that's what I want to know. She said, so the next time he called, I said, young man, you have called this house once a week for 6 weeks. Can I ask what this is about? He said, oh, yes, ma'am. He said, I'm sorry. He said, I'm from Macy's, and I was just calling to see y'all Ray's enjoying his suit. I said, what did you say? She said, well, I didn't want to lie to him because the Lord don't like liars. So I just said, well, young man, we can't get it off him. And she wouldn't lie. Tell you what my dad told me. As Grandma and Granddaddy got older, they kind of got homebound and couldn't get out much. So Dad put them on Meals on Wheels, which is a wonderful organization that serves meals to senior citizens and homebound. Well, as Grandma got older, she started visiting people on other planets we didn't know existed. And one day their Meals on Wheels lunches was late. And my grandmother got so mad, she called 911 to complain. Wouldn't you have loved to have heard that phone conversation? 911, what's your emergency? Well, there's 2 people about to starve to death. Where's those damn sandwiches? Ma'am, is there a dead body? Well, there's going to be 2 of them if we don't get those sandwiches pretty soon. Well, my dad told me this story. Well, I'm a comedian. You cannot hand me a loaded gun like that and not think it's not going to go off at some point. Well, my grandparents passed away about 15 years ago. And a couple years back, I got up one morning, I called my house. I remember they all lived in one little town. And my mom answered the phone. And she goes, hello? And I said, Ms. Engvall? She said, yes. I said, this is Sergeant Johnson with the Georgetown Police Department. She goes, oh my God, is everything all right? And I said, oh ma'am, everything's fine. I said, I don't mean to alarm you. I said, we're just clearing out our books for the end of the year. And we noticed we had to send emergency vehicles out to your mother's house because she